I was wondering if we could go down the line and ask each and every one of you, what do you think is your competitive edge?
Sure. I'll start with Mike. But I think for us, nobody ties together the components, right? So there's a lot of tooling. There's also a lot of consulting. So for us, we're also looking at an ecosystem, building with tier 4 consulting firms, almost the largest tooling provider, because they see the value that we deliver. So the tooling provider says, well, on data management, if you can assess, we can implement. The consulting firm actually says, well, if you don't do anything on remediation, give us the insights, and then we don't need to do the dirty digging. So I think basically moving from a snapshot maturity scan to a continuous overview on where you stand with AML, preventing any fines or exposure, I think that's our unique advantage.
Product-wise, we have both the studio and the full-fledged product, which is very flexible and customizable. I was discussing outside with a competitor from UK and said, "Oh yeah, we'll never sell it as on-prem self-serviced by the customer. We keep it as a SaaS, and that's as a product." And in terms of commercial uniqueness, we focus on emerging markets, not on the same British, American, Nordics. No, we prefer to go to developing markets, emerging markets, because we're better fitted to adapt to the specificities of such markets, which are under served by the big players.
I think in our case, it would be kind of the product and taking a developer-friendly and API-first experience. So in the compliance space, solutions are typically led by compliance folks, and then the engineering is maybe an afterthought or it's not baked into the product as firmly. Whereas Indrek, being kind of the OG founder of the company, he thinks along both product or engineering and compliance categories. So our customers really appreciate the implementation cycle and how straightforward it is.
Thank you, guys. Veselina from 11 Ventures here. We are an early stage investor. We invest in tech startups across Central and Eastern Europe and Southern Europe. My question is, when compliance will become outcome-based? Because none of you mentioned your business models. At least I couldn't find it in the presentation. So this is my question to all of you. Business model plus, when do you think compliance will become outcome-based?
I'll try first because I happen to have the microphone. So business model-wise, ours is easy. We are a B2B SaaS company, and pricing is somewhat dependent on the features that you use and then based on the usage, so how many transactions we process. But outcome-based, so I mean, I would be a little bit hesitant as a vendor to banks to take on any such risk. And I don't even believe that banks are allowed to outsource that risk. The banks are liable themselves. And if they haven't covered all bases, then, that's it. But as a vendor to potentially participate in a penalty that the bank is supposed to get or not get, that's not a risk that I can take on.
We're the same in the sense that we sell volumetric. So if you are a huge entity with numerous transactions, it's really cheap per unit. While outcome-based compliance, that's, I think, our ethos for all of us. The outcome is to decrease the risks the company has, to decrease the incidence of fraud. And I think it is in our core as businesses and what we do every day to meet this outcome-based compliance, in the sense that our customers are not going to be fined or found how should I say? Yeah, to be fined and to be found guilty of any irregularities.
Yes, so for Mintra, I think it's two things, subjectivity and ad hoc work and remediation, right? So We want to move from subjectivity to an objective way of assessing where the gaps lie and the way forward, looking at regulation or policies if they supersede a regulation, and also tying together all of the regulations across all the countries in our model. And the other one is preventing ad hoc remediation. So basically when the regulator steps in and says, hey, you've got something in your fan, you need to remediate, we prevent it actually by giving continuous insight and oversight into your AML landscape and foundation. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just ask a quick one. For Mintra AI, I'm not sure if you mentioned traction. Could you refresh my memory, or in case you haven't mentioned it, please tell us about that.
Yes, so we only, like I mentioned, just started, so we're pre-revenue, but we're doing two things right now. So 4 weeks ago, we finished the code, we did the pen test, it's solid, and we're now having demos with tier 1 and tier 2 banks. We were looking at the Benelux region because it's high proximity, we're Dutch-based, but eventually we're having now conversations in the CE region and the Middle East, and we're looking to leverage the big consulting firms because they also have like center of competences actually to, be AMLA ready specifically. So we're in talks now to see how we can leverage this. We have zero income for now, but we're building. BuzzFeed.
Yeah, maybe I was just about to ask almost the same question. Maybe if you can pass the microphone on. Yeah, about the revenue stream, the revenue model growth.
Right.
To this.
Revenue model is we sell query units, let's call them query units, in various forms, shapes, and sizes based on the categories of data we offer within our platform. 47 customers in 2025, 185,000 euros revenue last year, and already in contracted, not invoiced yet, contracted 352,000 this year. In Romania, Republic of Moldova, and Serbia, and this is non-grant. So this is strictly invoiced and VAT paid and everything.
Yeah, so the metrics for cryptos were at the beginning as well, but it's around 20,000 MRR, and then this is more than 40 clients in more than 20 jurisdictions. So mainly in the European Union, but maybe 1/3 is outside.
And as a model is paid by user or it's subscription?
So it's a monthly subscription, but if you exceed the allocated volume, then there is an extra that you would have to settle later.